Okay, hardware team, I think we need to build a box that people can connect to their TVs so that we can power them through the tvOS magic. Okay, let's put it in a box. Alright, a few years have gone by. I think we're ready to update this hardware. Okay, let's put it in a box. Alright, a few years have gone by. I think we're ready to update this hardware. Okay, let's put it in a box. I think we're ready to update this hardware. Put it in a box. I think we're ready to update this hardware. Box. Alright, a few years have gone by. Box. Alright, we still have been doing this for a while. Is there some kind of different implementation we could choose for the Apple TV? Okay, let's stop using the A8 chip, perhaps? Sounds good. Let's begin. What's going on with Ming-Chi Kuo lately? I hope his Twitter account is active. He's confirmed that that is his official account, but it seems like everything he's been tweeting is just like basically listening to my wish lists and saying, yes, Drew, Apple is listening to you. We're gonna do what you want. I'm fine with this because I'll just take credit and say, yeah, Apple's watching the videos. They're seeing how much logic and sense I'm making, and they're like, wow, he's really got this all figured out. Let's just do what Drew thinks. And you don't even have to pay me, Apple. These are free ideas. And basically, in case you're out of the loop, Kuo tweeted recently that Apple is planning on introducing a new Apple TV in the second half of this year, which honestly is like a month or two away. It's probably not even launching until the fall, so we have a ways to go, but he said this new Apple TV's purpose is to fix the pricing structure of the TV lineup, as well as be more of a vessel for delivering more Apple services for people, because making a cheaper Apple TV just for the sake of a cheaper Apple TV, no, right? Apple can't do that. The only way Timmy could justify introducing a cheaper Apple TV is if you convinced him, hey, we could push TV Plus and Fitness Plus on this thing even harder, and then more people will subscribe to our services. Once he heard the services revenue argument, he was like, oh, okay, I'm all in. Let's make a super duper cheap Apple TV. Let's lose money on it just for the fact that we can make money on it in the long term with recurring revenue. But details other than that are pretty slim. Kuo didn't want to get into too much detail, which is like perfect for me because I love speculation. I love trying to figure out what's going on in Apple's mind. I've been saying for years that Apple TV HD makes no sense, and while last year I was very, very grateful that Apple fixed the Siri remote, I was not really too happy with the trackpad and glass focus Siri remote of the last like 6 years of Apple TV, but the new one that's much easier to see in the dark, that has more clickable buttons, that feels more durable, that even has a mute button. They fixed so many of my complaints with the remote, but didn't really address any of my concerns with the Apple TV box itself. Now Kuo is giving me hope that maybe they're going to address that entry-level Apple TV, because honestly, I don't think it's likely for Apple to refresh that often the individual Apple TV boxes themselves, and we just got a new one last year, which was more of a side grade than anything. I mean, they gave it the A12 chip, which is arguably not that much better than the A10X that was in it before. And yeah, it's insane to me that Apple is still charging $150 for that Apple TV HD that is rocking not an A10, not an A9, but an A8 chip. Yeah, Apple just discontinued the iPod Touch because it's too old and not worth updating anymore, and that had an A10 chip. Apple TV HD, they're still selling for only $50 less than an iPod Touch with a freaking Apple Silicon chip that's 7 years old. They're still selling it right now. I don't know how they're still building that or how many people are still buying it. My condolences for all the grandmas out there that are probably still buying the, well, it's cheaper, I don't know what 4K is. And they're buying this really, really dated silicon in a TV box. That thing needs to go, but any type of hypothetical Apple TV mini, or as I've been advocating for years, or an Apple TV stick, you know, a little dongle that can plug into the back of your TV. That way you don't have to have a giant black box sitting on your media console. Just have a power cable going out the back. You know, Roku and Amazon Fire TV has had the sticks for years. Clearly, they don't have the same performance as the Apple TV or the capabilities in terms of Dolby Atmos or HDR support, but Apple's supposed to have like the most efficient, most like powerful integrated graphics in the world, so I don't know why they can't seem to figure that out. But even if they did make some kind of stick, how does it not completely cannibalize the Apple TV 4K, which is only rocking an A12 chip? Not particularly a recent generation piece of silicon. That's 4 years old now. Even the budget iPad for $300 is rocking an A13 chip, and that will likely be refreshed in the fall as well with either an A14 or A15 chip. So that's making me really, really confused. Like, if you made an Apple TV stick and you put the A12 chip in there, okay, that's 4-year-old silicon. It probably won't be able to run as effectively as the Apple TV 4K, so that's fine. We'll just say this one isn't as great at gaming, but how would Apple advertise that? You know, like, both the Apple TV stick and the Apple TV 4K, only difference is the price and the form factor, but they both have the same silicon on the inside. What is Apple gonna say? Well, the 4K one has a fan, so it can handle more sustained loads, as in it's better for gaming, and the stick is still capable of running games, it's just not quite as good at it. That sounds way too technical and geeky for Apple to go into on stage. So unless Apple is planning on refreshing both, I'm honestly really confused at how they would pitch this. Like, I think they need to have a very clear and obvious difference between the two Apple TV models so that they can still sell alongside each other, especially if the Apple TV stick or Apple TV Nano, Mini, whatever you want to call it, is like $99. That seems to be the price point in everyone's heads because HomePod, big flop, not a lot of people bought it. HomePod Mini, $99, big hit, everybody loves that thing. So it seems like the sweet spot, considering that, yeah, it's a lot more expensive than the Roku sticks or the Fire TV sticks of the world, but still a lot cheaper than the rest of the Apple TV boxes. So I personally think the biggest differentiating factor between the two Apple TVs, aside from perhaps silicon upgrades, could be the inclusion of the Siri remote. That's probably going to be a bit upsetting for a lot of people out there, that maybe the Apple TV Mini, the stick or whatever, won't come with a Siri remote, and Apple will just say, use your iPhone. You know, you can control it through Control Center, and if you want the Siri remote, then just spend the extra $60. And even if you add the Siri remote with the stick, you're still spending $160, which is, you know, a bit better than the Apple TV HD, because you'll still have 4K support and all that. Not to mention it will be hidden behind your TV, so it'll look a lot cleaner on your setup. And it's still cheaper than the Apple TV 4K, which is $180 or $200 if you opt for more storage. I don't know who's storing so much content locally on their Apple TVs, but I think most people can agree that Apple could try harder to grow their market share of tvOS and bring it to more and more televisions. It's definitely the pricing for me that's keeping me from just ditching the built-in Roku that's in my TV. No, the UI is not the cleanest or the best, and the remote is not better than the Siri remote, but I'm just not willing to spend $180 or $200 just so that when I'm navigating between a few TV channels, it looks cleaner. I just don't spend enough time doing that for it to be justified. Pretty much I just turn on my TV, hit YouTube or hit Paramount or hit Peacock or something, and then hit continue watching, and done. I've spent maybe 20-30 seconds navigating a UI, so that kind of expense is not worth it to me right now. But if they started getting it lower, maybe under $100, it would feel a bit more digestible. But again, I'm just not sure if Apple wants to continue producing the A12 chip for another 3 or 4 years. Makes me wonder if maybe they'll have to refresh the entire Apple TV lineup, like give the dedicated black box Apple TV like faster silicon, give that the A15 chip or whatever, and then maybe give the stick the A13 chip, which we know can work without a cooling system. I don't really know why the Apple TV box needs to have a fan on it. Most people aren't playing much games on those anyway, so just building one that's more oriented for streaming content and of course Fitness Plus. Like, let's not boast about Apple Arcade performance, because I doubt that's not very high on the Apple TV. So the stick can just have an A13 chip, and that'll still cover all of your Dolby Atmos, all of your 4K HDR streaming at a more reasonable price point. But I don't know, do you think they should compromise by not including the Siri remote just to get the price that much lower? Or do you guys have certain price limits in your mind? Like, okay, if there is a remote, it should be like $100 max, or if there's no remote, it should be like $60 max. All those ideas you guys have, feel free to let me know in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you all in the next one.